It's not enough to just swing the blade, there's another point that must be made. The difference between squeezing and letting it slip. Let's talk about how you get a grip. Oh hey friends, I wanted to follow up on some of these little advice videos that I've been doing, breathing, bend your knees, stuff like that, with another one about how to get a grip on your sword. Yeah, you need to get a grip, but this squeezing tight is not how you do it. This hammer grip, as we call it, as if you're pounding a nail into the wood with a hammer, not really good. I mean, if you're using a warhammer, you still don't want to have that kind of grip until the very moment of impact, but we can demonstrate all that with swords. So this is how we see a lot of depictions. You're just squeezing, or maybe it's right up here. But really, if you're talking about a single-handed sword, you want to hold it more like a handshake. That's the grip you would want. And you don't want to squeeze. In fact, if you use this more handshake-style grip, you're not squeezing. It can sit comfortably in your hand. It's got lots of surface area. And I can start unraveling my fingers. Okay. We need at least one finger on it, but I can start letting go of it. I'm not squeezing it. And we're going to talk about longsword and saber as well. But yeah, so a handshake grip. I'm fluid. I'm not tense. I'm not going to injure myself. We talked about that. Bending our knees. We've talked about not tightening up our muscles. That's why we exhale. We're loose. And how you hold the sword is also part of that. So this handshake grip, I'm loose. I'm calm. I'm going to have a lot more mobility and a bit more speed. And that's what I want. And I'm not going to tighten up my grip until the very moment of impact. This might take some practice for you. So in doing solo training, you might want to you can see there's just little bits of squeezing, getting used to that moment of tightness and how to let go of it. But I want to hold the sword without locking it into my fist, okay? So a handshake grip allows me to control it without having too much tension on the grip or handle, if you will. If we look at a saber, we have a similar idea. I'll do this upside down. Turn it so that you can see my thumb is along the back strap. And really, I'm going to be secure, but not squeezing it tight, okay? I'm not death gripping it. I'm just holding on to it. And this allows me to have fast movements, especially with something more 19th century, moving into sport fencing times. I don't want to squeeze. I'm not going to lose the sword, okay? If I practice if you have a pel or something that you can hit, a heavy bag, a dummy, whatever, you can practice that, holding it gently and just tightening up on the impact and then easing off, okay? If you're always tight on things, you're squeezing those tendons, those muscles, everything is tensing up, you're straining them, you're going to injure yourself. This is how you end up with tennis elbow, and I've had it, and it is awful, so don't end up with it, okay? But if we were talking about a longsword, because everyone loves longsword, and it's probably the most popular for European martial arts, so here I am, I'm with two hands, and I am not squeezing. In fact, it's not until the moment of impact that I would actually squeeze. And it's kind of like wringing out a towel. Just kind of tightening up a little bit to make sure that that impact doesn't knock it from your hand. And of course, I leave room between my hand and the guard, okay? But a lot of times in class, we encourage people to practice like this. In fact, you can even practice like this. Because now you're learning not to have your tight death grip and overwork all your muscles and tendons and get injuries, but you actually can do the movements. So a lot of times when I'm practicing, I'm at least poking up my thumb and first two fingers, only holding with the other two fingers here and the pad of my thumb. And since there's no impact, I'm getting the muscles done, but I'm fast, I'm fluid, and I'm learning not to squeeze. Of course, I know it, but it's something that you should keep practice, okay? So something that I want you to remember, that swords are not big, tense, muscly like we see in the movies. That conveys anger and aggression and fury to the audience. You know, ramps up the violence, the tension of the moment. But that's not really how it works, okay? So, particularly with longsword, if you can practice and you can do different little exercises and moves, you know, you're strengthening your muscles, getting your tendons to be stretched and worked and used to it. And if you can have your fingers and thumb pointing out like that, that'll give you a good feel for not squeezing too tight, okay? Loose muscles are fast muscles. Tight muscles are slow muscles. So when you're getting a grip on your sword, do not squeeze it. Gently hold it. You don't need to actually squeeze. And you don't even need to squeeze death grip levels of power onto it. Just firm enough, a little bit of a squeeze when you have the impact. And otherwise, you're loose, you're flowing, you're moving. That's really what you want. So when you get a grip on your sword, don't squeeze it, okay? It's not going to go flying out of your hands, particularly with a two-handed sword. You can actually get all of that with minimal fingers on the blade. So, yeah, 2 and the pad of your thumb, there you go. And I can still have good control of my sword. It's really that simple. So do not squeeze when you get a grip on your sword. Relax. Remove that tension. Less chance of injury. Moving a bit faster. It all adds up to having a much better sword fighting experience. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick little video about that because it seems to fit well into the sequence. We are at 967 subscribers, so we're very close to 1,000. You know what happens at 1,000? Well, nothing, but maybe I'll do a fun little video. It doesn't really mean much, but our brains like those big, round, even numbers, so hey, it's great. If you enjoyed this video, or any of my others, please do remember, subscribe, like, and of course, comment, because your comments help shape the content of the channel. And until next time, please take care, stay safe, and grip gently but firmly. Do not squeeze as you keep on swinging.